Today is Tuesday, February 8. I'm Pastor Anthony, and this is Wilderness Wanderings. Today our text comes from Luke chapter 5. They, that is the Pharisees and teachers of the law, said to Jesus, "John's disciples often fast and pray, and so do the disciples of the Pharisees, but yours go on eating and drinking." Jesus answered, "Can you make the friends of the bridegroom fast while he is with them? But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them. In those days they will fast." He told them this parable. "No one tears a piece out of a new garment to patch an old one. Otherwise they will have torn the new garment, and the patch from the new will not match the old. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise the new wine will burst the skins. The wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, new wine must be poured into new wineskins. And no one, after drinking old wine, wants the new, for they say, 'The old is better.'" It's Luke chapter 5, verses 33 through 39. I have to think of this past Sunday's sermon when I read this text from Luke today. The coming of Jesus is another one of those watershed moments, another shifting of the ages in terms of how God deals with his people. In 1 Samuel, it's the shift from the tribal nomadic time of the judges to the more established nationalistic time of the kings. Here, in the Gospel of Luke, it is a shift from the Old Testament to the New, from Judaism to Christianity, from the old Israel to the new Israel, from law to grace, from the time of the prophets, priests, and kings to the time of Jesus who fulfilled them all. New wine requires new wineskins, and new cloth cannot be sewn on old, because both of these new things are still, as preacher Fred Craddock says, alive, changing, not fixed in form or size, and therefore not to be treated as though they were dead and rigid. So it was with the new revelation of Jesus. Jesus represented a significant shift of the ages that would burst the old forms if those old forms attempted to contain him. Indeed, they could not. The new revelation of Jesus required new forms. No longer a temple, but a living body of people called a church, for instance, being built together into a temple, and who themselves were a temple of the Holy Spirit. We often act as though this was the last shift point of the ages, the coming of Jesus and the founding of the church. The revelation of Jesus was the final chapter in God's work in this world, we think. But if God remains a living and active God, sovereign in all his ways, why should his work cease? By thinking of ourselves as Reformed Christians, we implicitly confirm that God does do new things in history that require new forms, like the creation of an entirely new branch of Christianity that calls itself Protestantism nearly 500 years ago. But having tasted the old and familiar, who wants to drink the new? We resist new movements of the Holy Spirit, all of us do, as people. We often pray to Jesus for stability, comfort, and peace, not for change. What God has given us has suited just fine up till now, so why should it be different? We often think. It is a hard thing to discern the times, and to discern the sovereign movements of the Spirit of God, especially when he does new things. So when are we supposed to reach for the good old vintages of wine? And when ought we be readying new wineskins? Seems Jesus addresses that conundrum here too. John's disciples took the old forms, fasting and praying, as was the tradition of many within the observant Jewish faith of that day. But Jesus' disciples took the new forms, feasting and drinking freely. Jesus doesn't answer the question between these two forms with any hard and fast rules, but rather he suggests that there is a seasonality and a wise discernment that is required here. That there's a time to feast and a time to fast, a time for joy and a time for sorrow, a time for tradition and a time for innovation, The question Jesus leaves us with then is, what time is it now? That's a question that the church, especially the church reformed and always reforming, must always wrestle with. What time is it now? Well, as you journey on, sorting through all that stuff, go with the blessing of God. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you wherever he may send you, and may he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May he bring you home rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May he bring you home rejoicing once again into our doors.